Hello, it is January 25th, 2026, which makes exactly 1 year with this Maverick 325X. So I'm just going to make a quick video, hopefully, and talk about it and how many hours it has and everything like that, and how it welds, and just go from there. All right, so I had to bring this party inside. It's pretty cold and it's like freezing rain out there. But anyway, it's exactly 1 year with that machine. It has exactly 600 hours on it, which is kind of funny because it's almost an even number, because 600.2. But when I bought it, there wasn't much information about it. They were online, they had their specs and all that stuff listed, but there just wasn't anybody running them yet. And for the platform and how small it is and the weight of it, I was really interested in it. So I ended up talking to some guys on TikTok. Fab Daddy, I believe his name was Rojas, something like that. They have these machines, and they were pretty convincing when I talked to them, and I really wanted to see for myself. So I went to SD Nold in Lisbon, Ohio, and I talked to Jay, and he actually set one up for me, and I was able to test weld with it before buying it. So that was really cool. You can read specs all day long, and on paper, it was right up there, believe it or not, with like the Miller Pipe Pros. It's basically a 400 amp machine, but at 325 amps, it's 100% duty cycle. It's got 10,000 watts of auxiliary power, but it's smaller than a Miller. It's only about 800 pounds. I don't remember the measurements. I can put them on here on the description or something. But it's just a really small platform. It's bigger than a Ranger, but smaller than a cross country. It's just a really nice platform. It has the Kubota 902, which is a good engine. Everybody loves the Kubotas and the other machines. So first impression, I came from, your normal Lincoln engine drives like SA200s, SA300, 300Ds like that. Then your true DC arc. This is nothing like that. I mean, it's got settings like a Miller does with your arc force and your hot start and things like that. But I think realistically, you're just never going to really replicate a 200 or anything like that. But there's the settings are crazy. It was overwhelming in the beginning. And like I said, I talked to Fab Daddy and Rojas, and they kind of pointed me in the right direction to help me with my arc force and things like that. And I've played with it a little bit since then, and it's actually doing really good. But at first I didn't like it. I couldn't bead the way I wanted to with it. It just kept making a real flat bead. I mean, it was breaking the walls down and everything on the bevel, but I couldn't get a heavy bead in there. And I ended up changing a few things and slowing down and just soaking the rod in there and putting a good heavy bead. So I got that figured out, and maybe it needed to break in a little bit. I mean, we're talking about a brand new machine here. It had 0 hours on it. They ran it on the load bank, and that was all the hours it had. But after running it for a little while, I decided I'd go ahead and buy it and just risk it for the biscuit, And I'm glad I did. I've had good luck out of it. This machine might not be for everybody. I mean, depending on what kind of work you do. I know, for example, Fab Daddy, he does fabrication, he does pipe work, he does everything. He's plugging air compressors and stuff into his machine, and you can run any tool you want to off of it. And some of the other guys are, specifically welding pipe, and there's some guys out there even welding 30-inch with it, which is pretty impressive for such a small frame machine. But for me, what I do, everything that we do on weld pad hookups is from everything from 2-inch Schedule 40 up to 16-inch 375 wall or 500 wall, and that's usually about all the bigger we go. But it's consistent. It welds just as good on 2-inch as it does the heavy wall 16-inch, Schedule 164-inch, thin wall. I mean, it welds just the same on everything. You're not constantly fighting OCVs or anything like that, or putting it in second gear to weld 2-inch or anything weird. It welds the same. And then from day to day too, a lot of your other Lincolns, they will fluctuate with the weather, temperature, humidity, things like that. This machine is the same every single day. It doesn't matter how cold it is, how hot it is. It's going to be the same machine every day. So consistency is a big deal for me. One little tidbit of information here. Like I said, it's exactly 1 year today, and 600.2 hours. and I've kept track all year. I've made 802 welds with it. And that's, like I said, everything from 2-inch, 3-inch thin wall, 3-inch heavy wall, all the way up to 16-inch. And like I said, it welds just the same on all of them. It's just a good all-around machine. Like I said, this machine has a lot of settings. One thing that's pretty interesting is your remote. We're normally on like Advantage or I think even your millers too. You can set a maximum, and then on your remote, you know, you got 0 to 100, and 100 is your maximum, but you don't have like a minimum. On this machine, you can set a minimum and a maximum, and you don't have to worry about moving your dial just a tiny bit at a time. Like a lot of times I see people on a Advantage, they say, "Oh, give me 4.5 or 4.1 or 4.2," and they got all these little Sharpie marks on the remote. And you know, as a helper, a lot of people they get it close, they don't care. But on Advantage, a lot of times 1 dot is a big jump. With this machine, I have it set where you have a minimum and you can have a maximum too. So 0 to 100 on the box, you have a more broad range. So if you're off a little bit on your box, it's really not going to change that much on your weld. So I really like that. Something else neat that it has, and I was kind of skeptical about it at first because you know how you have cars that when you stop at a red light they shut off. This machine has the option to do that, and you can set a timer on it, and if you walk away from the machine for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you set it to, it'll shut off and it'll stay active for however many minutes you want it to stay active for. If you go to take a measurement and your machine shuts off and you come back and you say, okay, I can go ahead and weld now, you just touch your rod to your workpiece and it automatically starts the machine right back up. And it's just amazing that they have that technology. I wish that there was a way that it would fire up when you pull the trigger on a grinder, because a lot of times you're wanting to grind something and then weld. Well, then you find yourself, oh, well, let me strike an arc real quick, start it back up, and then you guys can grind or whatever. So I kind of wish it would start up with a grinder, but maybe someday the technology will be there. But yeah, that auto shutdown is really neat. And you can also do it from the remote too. You turn your remote to a certain number back and forth, kind of like a combination lock, and it'll shut your machine down for you. Like if you're down in a ditch or something and they tell you to shut everything down and you don't think you can get to the machine fast enough, you can turn it off right there at the box, and then it'll start back up, same way with the rod. I think that's really neat. It has like a diagnostics system on it. Like it tells you your hours and when your oil changes and stuff are due. It shows even your brush life. It tells you when to change your brushes, fan belt, different things like that, which is really neat. You can just scroll through there. I think that's really cool. It's just like, I'm pretty good about keeping up on my stuff anyway, but it is neat to have that reminder there. And it shows like a wrench or something will come up on the screen. You can scroll through it and see what it needs. If you need to change your filters or whatever, it's just really convenient to be able to see that and kind of have something to reference. You can reset them too. Like after you change your filter, you hold the button and it'll reset, which is pretty cool, I think. All right, so along with the electronics, of course, being running old school machines, you can get them wet, whatever, who cares? But it has that little LCD screen on the faceplate. I was really concerned. I was like, man, what if someone, a rock or something comes up and hits it when you're driving, or if it gets wet, is it going to short out? Is it going to freeze? Is the sun going to bake it? Different things like that. And I thought, man, I don't want any of that stuff to get wet. I don't want to constantly be wiping that screen off and everything else. But I ended up making a plexiglass cover that hinges, and it covers up all that whole faceplate. And you can see through it and see your readings and everything. But to change anything, you just reach up underneath of it and fold it out, and you can change your settings, start it, turn it off, whatever, and then flop that cover back down, and it's protective. I think that helps it out a lot, because otherwise your switches and everything are getting wet and snow and salt and everything. And you can tell a difference. It's clean underneath the plastic, and the plastic is catching all that stuff for it. So I think that was a pretty smart move. Would it have been fine without that? I don't know. It depends where you're at. You might be somewhere that doesn't get snow and salt and everything. But for me in this climate, I knew I wanted something to protect that faceplate, and I'm glad I did. Seems to be working out all right for me. Noise level. Is it loud? Is it quiet? What is it? it's really hard to explain. It doesn't like hurt your ears loud or anything like that, but it has a different tone. And this is the Kubota 902, which is a high-speed diesel, and it idles at like 1800, something like that. And your full idle when you're welding or running the grinder is 3600, and that's pretty high RPMs. So saying that, yes, it makes some noise. I mean, it's a diesel engine running at 3600 RPMs, but it's not like a roar. It's not a crackle like a 200. I can't say that it's loud, but you can hear it over other machines. If you got a Vantage, a Cross Country, a Miller, everything lined up there, you can hear this machine over them. But I think it's more of a tone thing, because you can still talk near it. You can be right there talking to somebody. You're not screaming. It's nothing like that. It's just a different tone, and you'd really have to hear one in person to really understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to start it up for you guys here in a minute and let you hear it. It's just a different tone. I've had different people say, man, that machine's really quiet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not quiet. But then you think about it, 3,600 RPMs, it's a quiet 3,600 RPMs, but it's a kind of a loud machine. So it just depends, you know, what you consider loud. I mean, it's not a 200 sitting there popping and clanging and rattling and everything in your face, but it's definitely, in my opinion, it's not really a quiet machine, but that part didn't bother me. Another thing to talk about here is the maintenance. With it being the high-speed diesel, the way that I'm understanding it is it kind of doubles your maintenance, if that makes sense. Because if you have another machine that's running 1800 RPMs, you know, and then this one's running 3600, you're doubling the amount of rotations on that engine. So your oil changes, they want you to change your oil every 100 hours, and then change your filter like every 200 or something like that. So that kind of sucks. I mean, it's not an expensive oil change. It takes a little bit less than a gallon. I usually just put a full gallon in it, and when it's, you know, still some coming out, just quit. Just leave a little bit left in the jug, and that's usually spot on. The filters aren't expensive or anything like that, and it's easy to do. It has the hose, but it just kind of sucks because you have to stop and do it, and it's just one of those things. That's just part of it. So I don't really care for that, but it is what it is. But like I said, it tells you that on the screen. And your fan belt, it takes a special fan belt because it's high RPMs, and it's, I guess it's specifically rated for high RPM applications. And so it's supposed to be changed pretty often too. And I think it's supposed to be changed at 600 hours. Same thing there, they're not very much, but you just have to stop and do it. The brushes, it just has a single brush like what the Millers have. It's only like $20 or $30, nothing crazy, but again, you have to stop and change it. I think they want you to do that at like 1,000 hours, something like that, or at least maybe check it at 1,000. Maybe that doesn't mean that you have to change it right then, but maybe at least look at it. I mean, depending on what you're doing. But the maintenance schedule is kind of excessive. But then again, you think about other machines that people have had for years. You know, they say, oh, I only change the oil once a year, or I only do this, or I only do that. You could probably get away with that on this machine. I don't know, but I know some people that don't change oil at all. They just add to it, or maybe they'll change the filter every once in a while. Not saying that's a good thing, but most people don't go by the books is what I'm saying. Just because the book says this doesn't mean most people's going to do that anyway. So that's just my opinion on that. But I've been following the procedure like it says, and it's been good for me. So like I said, it just sucks because you have to stop and do it, but it's really not that big of a deal because it's not that expensive and it's easy to do. All right, so here we are. It's raining and being gross, but you can see here the plastic that I've put in there. It's like a plexiglass thing. So that protects all the switches and everything. We'll go ahead and start it up for you guys. It's 30-something degrees out here. Just hold the glow plugs for a second. I didn't hold the glow plugs long enough. I had my finger on the wrong one. It starts really easy. It's not even that cold today. So that's your 1,800 RPMs or whatever it is. It's not bad. It's got a like I said, different tone to it, but it's really not that bad. All right, so now we're in high idle. It's definitely louder. Still not terrible. Like I said, it's just a different tone. It's kind of hard to explain, but overall, it's not bad. All right, well, now I'm soaked. But I just want to let you guys hear it real quick. It's just a different tone. That's all I can say about it. It's not loud. It's just different. I mean, you'd have to hear one for yourself to understand what I'm saying. But overall, I mean, it's been a good machine. It cost a good bit less than the Miller's. With the remote and everything, was about $18,000. Would I buy one again? Yeah, probably. Everybody that has welded with it at work, they really like it. I've had people say, "Man, that thing welds better than my Miller." You know, most guys won't admit that. Then you have some other people say, "Oh, man, I don't like it." You know, you're always going to have naysayers no matter what you do. But most everybody that's welded with it has liked it. It's done good for me. I'm not fighting it. It's doing the same thing every day. And like I said, it worked out good for me. And I just wanted to throw a little video together just to kind of talk about it. And like I said, shout out for SD Nold for letting me try it out a year ago today. And the guys on Facebook and TikTok that I talked to. You guys helped out a lot, and hopefully this video might help somebody else. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.